right, sweet. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 58. Kev, what a week in the UFC. UFC 256. I mean, does this go down as card of the year? I mean, it had to have been.
Yeah, close to it. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of another card this year that would top it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew that this card was going to be a banger, right? But I don't think we thought, from early prelims to the main event, it was going to be this much of a banger. So let's just get right into this one, buddy. Just a fantastic card from bottom to top here. Early prelims. Let's just talk about these really quick. Chase Hooper, Peter Barrett, right? Chase Hooper getting beat up for, what would you say, 2.5 rounds, and out of nowhere with the slick.
Minutes.
13 minutes, yeah, with a slick submission victory. Just quick question for you. Do you think, obviously seeing his stand up, it really hasn't evolved that much yet. Do you see him, like, I know, like, even Joe Rogan was talking about it on, like, do you see him, like, maybe moving back down to maybe like the regional circuit, winning there, becoming a champion, and then developing his skills and come back up to the UFC? Because, like, even Dana said it. Dana's like, you can't get beat up for 2.5 rounds like this every fight. Like, do you find that his stand-up's just not at this level yet where he can compete at the highest level, or what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely isn't a good strategy for him going forward to just rely on his jiu-jitsu being superior and to kind of bail him out. But then again, he is 21 years old. He's the youngest kid on the roster. I think did they sign him when he was 20 or 19? He was like one of the youngest UFC fighters to ever be signed or something like that. So
Contender Series when he was 19. I think he made his debut when he was 20. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still super young. But then again, it brings up the question. Like, I guess he kind of parallels a Sage Northcutt.
True.
Young fighter, really popular with the fans, but he kind of just fizzled out, early in his fighting career. I don't know if that would be the case with Chase, but he definitely has to make a change, either in his training or, with his striking coaches or something along those lines, because he can't continue on, with that type of strategy.
Yeah, agreed. And just like watching him, I was like just basically like cringing the whole time because like the stand up just didn't look pretty. But I do believe if this kid gets his stand up right, puts on some size, man, I think he's going to be a goddamn problem because his ground game's ridiculous. Like what he did to Peter Barrett was ridiculous. So, and to be able to take a beating like that, still have the stamina to keep going and get that submission. I think this is going to be the truth, man. I think he's going to be the future. I think he just needs to develop. Like you said, he's so friggin' young. Like, think about it. It's like
he's still got like his little boy body. Like, he really doesn't have any muscles yet.
Yeah,
he's just kind of like tall, lanky. But I think the biggest takeaway from this fight for him is that, or for the fans, well, the UFC, is that he's not going to give up on himself. He's going to look to finish the fight, and I think that was the biggest thing. Getting beat, being down 2 rounds and coming out in the third and knowing you have to finish, and then getting beat up at the beginning of the third. I think that it's pretty discouraging for most people, but he ended up finding a way to get it done. So I think that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it goes to show he's got a massive heart. So, I mean, you can't really teach stuff like that. So it's pretty good to see him doing that at such a young age and not giving up, right? Like, I think that was Sage Northcutt's biggest thing was in his first loss, everyone felt like he tapped early, he gave up. So it's like Chase showing heart really kind of makes him stand out to me, and obviously one of the winners of this card. Moving forward, prelims, right? Couple great fights. We had Tecia Torres, Sam Hughes. Tecia Torres, great finish in round 1. Her stock just keeps rising. She's a vet. She's awesome. Gavin Tucker, Billy Quarantillo. That was a fight I was looking forward to. Big Billy Q fan. Gavin Tucker, man, just proving that there's levels to this, man. He looked fantastic. He's someone to watch out for in the featherweight division. Big, strong guy, and you could tell he just outclassed Billy Q there. But Billy Q still a savage. He's one of those guys who was active during 2020, so you always like to see that. So respect to both of those guys. Then we get to a fun lightweight scrap. We knew this one was, they were going to be throwing bombs. We knew there was going to be a finish in this one. Hanato Makano taking on Rafael Fiziev. My God. Fiziev has some of the quickest hands I've ever seen. And to put away Moicano like he did, my God, this dude is a fucking problem. What did you think of Fiziev and how he looked?
Yeah, it was super impressive. Anytime you finish a fighter of, Moicano's stature, especially like this early into Fiziev's UFC career, yeah, it was just super impressive. Really excited to see what he has coming next.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty big step up for him, and like Marcano is no joke, man. And like, he put his friggin' lights out. And listen, I don't want to hear about this early stoppage. Marcano couldn't even stand up after that. He's just so quick, man. And like, I was curious to see like, hey, how is his striking going to hold up against, a high level Brazilian like that? So, man, he looks so good. Made a statement on the biggest stage. So I agree with you, man. I cannot see who they match him up with next because this dude is a goddamn problem at 9-1 right now in this lightweight division. So that was a super fun one. Let's get to the prelim headliner. Personally, there were so many great finishes in this fight. This one was a feel-good story, man. Cub Swanson, Daniel Pineda. Cub Swanson just putting the lights out on Pineda. Like, how awesome was that to see? Cub just, I thought the whole fight was great. Like, as long as it lasted, I thought they both looked great, throwing absolute bombs. And Cub Swanson with just a kind of a beautiful combo and just finished the fight ferociously. It was great to see him, especially coming off of ACL surgery. He's been more than a year away from the sport. How do you think Cub looked, man? Because that was a feel-good one. I love that. Yeah. I'm a big Cub fan.
Yeah, no, it's been a tough go for Cub. I mean, he gets no easy matches. He's always facing the top competition. And he's been in the game forever, ever since the WEC. So see him get that knockout win, after, all the wars he's been through, all the time he spent in sport. It was good to see.
Yeah, 100%. Feel good story. Congrats to Cub, especially coming off of ACL surgery. And, he obviously had that huge victory over Cron Gracie last year. So it's good to see him back in just a winning column. And like I said, massive Cub fan. Let's get to the main card, the pay-per-view portion. I mean, every fight on here was so good. Let's just start off with the heavyweight bout. Junior Dos Santos, Cyril Gane. Big step up in competition for Cyril. Putting the lights out on Junior Dos Santos. Dos Santos kind of arguing that it was behind the head. I just thought overall it was a beautiful combo by Gane. This kid's legit. He's a problem, undefeated at 7-0. I mean, he's got some big fights lined up, right? But what do you think about this performance? And also, JDS, 4 losses in a row, 4 knockouts in a row. What's next for him?
Yeah, I mean, the UFC is saying that they're gonna make some big cuts, and I could see Junior Dos Santos being one of them. He's one of the older fighters, and like you said, he's 0-4 in his last 4 fights. So it probably would make sense for UFC to part ways. But yeah, Gane looked awesome. I mean, he rocked him early, regardless of the behind the ear blow. He had him in danger. It was just a matter of time. Something was gonna land, and I honestly think it was partially Dos Santos's fault as well, because he was trying to defend himself, but in doing so, he turned his back.
Yeah.
Leaving, there was really no option or no. I don't know. He just gave him no opening there, and the elbow just ended up landing on the back of the head. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited to see what he's got next. I think a fun fight would be him and Rosenstrike.
My God. Beautiful fight. I agree. I was going to actually just say the same thing. My God, that'd be a banger. And I hope they make that next. That would be awesome. I mean, this kid is so young into his career, like 7-0. Like he's
Yeah.
already, beat a legend like JDS in your 7th pro fight. That's pretty impressive. I mean, look at the dude. He's got the physique of a friggin' god.
Yeah.
Big, tall, strong. Like this again, this guy's going to be a goddamn problem for this division. So congrats to Cyril Gane. Massive win for him. Moving forward, my God, this middleweight bout, Kevin Holland taking on Jacare Souza. Was this knockout of the year? Well, this has to have been knockout of the year, right?
Yeah, because I don't think you'll ever see a knockout like that again. Someone laying on their back and like doing a sit up and throwing a punch at the same time and knocking someone out. I don't know. You can't even imagine. Like he couldn't even attempted that in training. It's
No.
just something that he just thought up in the moment, went for it, and it worked.
And just to recap for everyone, like Kevin said, Kevin Holland is on his back. Jacare's up against the cage, and he lifts himself up in the air, does a sit up, and just right hooks friggin' Jacare Souza's forehead. Just perfectly times the forehead. Like I've never seen a more perfect punch in my life. And then does a finishing combo with Jacare leaning back on his knees, just helpless.
Yeah.
And he's talking to him, saying, I had a dream about this. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Kevin Holland, man, is for real. I'm saying that's the knockout of the year. My God, I mean, Joaquin Buckley, he had his moment, but Kevin Holland knocked out Joaquin Buckley. And he has the highlight knockout this year. But what Kevin Holland did to a legend like Jacare Souza, that will be remembered forever. And I think what I was I can't say more impressed than knockout, but were you surprised how good Holland looked on the ground against Jacare? I thought like those beginning exchanges, he looked good.
Yeah, so when I initially made my predictions for this fight, I thought Jacare was just going to have the superior jiu-jitsu. I thought it was going to be tough for Holland to deal with. And I pictured Jacare getting the win. Never did I picture Kevin Holland throwing submission attempts.
No.
He was actually, even though he was in guard, he was more offensive than Jacare was when it came to strikes and submission attempts. So, yeah, I mean, he seems to, just in this year alone, he's growing as a fighter. Just in the past few fights that we've seen. So it's crazy. I mean, he's only getting better.
5-0 in 2020. He said he wants to fight this weekend, which I don't think it's going to happen. But we'll talk about Figueiredo in a second here, defending his title for the second time. Did Kevin Holland just secure Fighter of the Year?
Man, yeah, that's a tough one. He's definitely in the running. Definitely in the running. I mean, one of the most active fighters. I think, are all of his wins finishes, or maybe he's got one decision.
I believe
But
he has all finishes right now, to be honest.
Yeah, he finishes fights, which is like the biggest thing that the UFC looks for. To do that 5 times in a year is just insane. I mean, so like last week we were talking about Oliveira being on a 6-fight win streak, talking about how crazy that was.
Yeah.
Holland almost did that in 1 calendar year. And I think he started late too. Like he started his wins.
I believe May.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, May.
Insane.
So he still had, a couple of months that he probably could have squeezed another fight in there and been at the same spot that, I mean, I know it's different weight classes, but just to compare, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what he did was so goddamn impressive. And like you said, imagine if he started in January. Imagine if he fought on that Conor pay-per-view. And like, I mean, what's next for him? It's like, he called out Chimaev. Obviously, Chimaev is booked with Leon Edwards. Like, what makes sense for him in like next? Because he just took out Souza. who's
Yeah.
a goddamn, like, it's fought everyone and their mother. But it's like, what do you do with him now? It's just like he fights so often. I don't know if he's going to do that in 2021, but um, like who does he get in the top 15 now? Obviously, he's going to get a top 15 opponent. Like, but where do you go from here now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the rankings right now. I'm pretty sure these were released today, or that they had to
Oh,
have been.
oh yeah,
Holland is at number 10 right now
I just saw that. Holy shit!
in this division. So, um, he's been a good employee for the UFC. I think they definitely owe him, a big fight. But looking at the guys above him, I think one that would make sense would probably be Derek Brunson. I
I
think
was
that'd
gonna
be a
say
good fight for him.
that. I love that fight. And Brunson's a goddamn dog, and I think that'd be a dog fight. Um, I like that a lot, and I think that's not pushing him too much into the top five. But like you said, man, he's been a company man, and I think he deserves a big fight. And who's not a better dance partner than Derek Brunson? So I'm super stoked about this kid. I think at first everyone was kind of like, "Who's this kid? He's talking too much." Even Dana said it,
Yeah,
and he came in and he backed up everything that he said. So what a fight. Uh, like you said, he's evolving as a goddamn fighter, and I cannot wait to see him continue working his way up the ranks. And I think this kid has all the tools to be a champion. His ground game surprised me, and I was
yeah,
actually baffled by it. So if he can just get everything together, man, and be more active, this kid could potentially be fighting for a belt next year if he does 4 fights again. He
yeah.
probably won't even need 4 fights if he's getting through the top 10 like that. So Kevin Holland, congrats. Jacare, you're still a legend. Moving up real quick, Mackenzie Dern, Virna Jandiroba. Mackenzie Dern looked good, man. I thought her striking looked good. Busted up her nose, and she kept fighting. Real quick, how'd you think she looked?
Yeah. I mean, she's another one that's evolving as a fighter. It's kind of worrisome when someone's such a specialist
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to stick to that one um, that one sport as their go-to. Um, and it was actually really nice to see that she didn't rely on her jiu-jitsu. She was actually winning the striking exchanges for the most part, in my opinion. Um, Faced some adversity. I think she had a broken nose, or at least had a busted nose going into the third, and fought through it and got the victory. So I think she's becoming a more and more complete fighter every time we watch her.
Do you think her accent's getting any better? That's the question for you.
No, no.
Oh my god. Yeah, those post-fight press conferences are
Yeah,
definitely hard to watch.
yeah. You know what's crazy too? I don't know if she's a Brazilian citizen, but they put the Brazilian flag for her, um,
Yeah.
in like her bio or like her walkout stuff, which I thought she was born in the U.S., but I don't know.
Uh, I know that grinds your gears so much, and like I never really noticed it when you would talk about it, and then I'm just like my ears are bleeding when she's talking. I'm like, why is she talking like that? And I
Yeah,
never noticed it before until like I feel like she forces it and forces it every fight.
yeah. No, it definitely does get worse, but yeah, there's like that YouTube video that shows the progression of her
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like talking like I don't know. It's a weird thing.
yeah. I know that pisses you off, so I love it. But Mackenzie Dern looked great. She's obviously set up for big fights now, proven that hey, she'll strike with you. And those are 2 specialists on the ground. We didn't. I thought it was going to be a lot of groundwork. I mean, that was a straight boxing match, which was awesome to see. Virna's tough as hell as well. So Mackenzie Dern, congrats. Co-main event, guys. I think this was everyone's people's main event, right? This is Tony Ferguson taking on the streaking Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Everyone was kind of curious. Hey, what kind of Tony were we going to see? He just got beat up by Justin Gaethje, lost his chance at Khabib. Are we ever going to see that fight again? And then you have Charles Oliveira, who's on a 7-fight finish streak. That doesn't happen. De Bronx has been in the UFC since he was 20 years old, finally getting the dues that he deserves. Top 10, top 5, right? Taking on Tony Ferguson, the scariest guy in the division. My God, was I wrong about this fight. Do Bronx dominated from start to finish. and it was so tough seeing Tony get beat up like that.
Yeah.
That armbar, to this day, I have no idea how Tony didn't tap. That was the most gruesome thing I've ever seen. And it just goes to show you how tough and how sick in the head Tony Ferguson is. But let's not take that away from Charles Oliveira. He looked great striking on the ground everywhere. He just beat Tony at his own game. And I think a lot of people were like, hey, let's see Tony on his back. He invites people on his back. Tony did nothing. And it was so sad to see, man. I know his shoulder was fucked up after that first round, but what's your overall analysis of the fight?
Yeah, I mean, it was just domination. I mean, watching Oliveira pick Ferguson up in the first round and return him to the mat straight on his back, like you never see in just some of the jiu-jitsu, like he was just one step ahead the entire time. You don't see anybody do that to Tony Ferguson. At the very worst you see to him, or you see happen to him, is someone land some good punches, might wobble him a little bit, cut him up, but you never see him completely dominated on the ground.
No.
So, or even taken down. It's another thing you very rarely see. I mean,
Yeah.
Oliveira took it to him in every aspect of that fight.
He looked so good, man. And it was tough to see Tony like that. And he's obviously one of my favorites. And I believe he is the toughest and still the scariest dude to fight. But what a performance by Oliveira. Like, this guy has been at it for so long. He's finally in that conversation of best in the world. What's next for Oliveira? Like, you got a lot of people kind of tied up right now. Depending on what Khabib does, right? You got Conor and you got Dustin. Rumors of Chandler, Gaethje. Where does that leave Oliveira? He's kind of like out of a fight right now. Does he take someone like a Hooker or an RDA? Like, what does he do? Because he's now in the fourth spot. Everyone else in the top 5 has a dance partner. What happens with him next?
Yeah, I think at this point he just sits back and sees how things play out. I think, he fought last weekend. Next month, the McGregor Poirier fight will happen. I think he should campaign for the winner of that fight. I think that's probably the biggest guaranteed fight that he can make right now, because we don't know what Khabib's doing. We don't know if he's going to come back or what.
Yeah.
And then there's, rumors of the Chandler Gaethje fight, but we don't know if that's going to happen or when that's going to happen. So I think the best thing for him to do is just try to take the winner of McGregor Poirier as soon as that fight's over.
Yeah, and that's not a bad idea. I mean, the dude's on an 8-fight winning streak, but at the same time, like, we saw what happened with Tony, man. Tony's on a 12-fight win streak, and he hasn't touched real gold. Well, he was an interim champ, and he never just got that shot at being the undisputed, right? So I agree. I think Charles should be smart. Let's see how things play out, and then, hey, maybe if the Chandler Gaethje fight doesn't get made, maybe you hop in there, man. And I just see him having a lot of issues, being a problem for a lot of these top 5 guys. Seeing his ground game and seeing his striking evolve, my God, he's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I don't want my boy McGregor going up against Oliveira. No fucking way. Not after what I saw. Not after he beat the boogeyman like that. Gaethje put a beat down on Tony. And listen, although there wasn't a lot of damage inflicted to Tony in that fight, like, other than the arm bar, like, Oliveira controlled that whole fight. That was 10-8s every round. I don't care what anyone says. 10-8s every round. This dude's a goddamn problem. And I'm glad he's finally getting his dues. He's a good guy and, doesn't talk shit. He's just like, I'm going to submit you. I'm going to finish you. And that's it. And for him to put a beat down on Tony Ferguson like that, I got to raise my cap to him. So congrats, Charles Oliveira. You deserve a fucking massive fight, if not the belt next. And then flip side, where does Tony go from here, man? He took on, 2 killers back to back. Was it bad matchups for him? Is he getting too old? Is he losing it? What's next for him? And do you think, like, he's on the decline?
Yeah, that's tough to say. I mean, I don't think he was expecting Oliveira to test his ground game. I was thinking he probably thought it was going to be more of a standing battle, and I think he was kind of hoping for that as well. Um, and then at the end of the first, when he had him in that arm bar for like the last 10 seconds of the round,
Oh my
um,
God.
I think that definitely compromised what was his left arm that was caught in
Yes.
that. Definitely compromised his left arm, and I think that really hindered his ability to use it for other aspects of the fight. I'm not going to say that's the reason that he lost, but I can't imagine fighting anybody in that
Uh,
division with one broken arm. As tough as Tony is, um, he needed both arms for this fight to
yeah.
win. But um, yeah, as for who's next, I think the only other one that might make sense for him right now is I don't think he'd get the winner of Gaethje Chandler. I
No.
think being 0-2 in his last couple fights, he's not like a rebound fight, but maybe someone lower in the rankings to kind of get him back into that win column, or to really see if he is declining. I would think maybe like Dan Hooker or somebody along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing like maybe him, RDA run it back. That was a fun fight at first. I agree. I think Hooker. Oh my God. I mean, imagine him and Paul Felder. My God, that would be a fight.
Mm,
Really, I like anyone 6 and up for him. Obviously,
yeah,
um, like even if like they want to throw him with like kind of a newcomer, right? Like throw him to Islam, and then we can maybe get that Tony Khabib that we never got to see, right? Um, or someone like a Beneil Dariush who's been doing great getting finishes. So for me, you know, did it put in a sour taste in my mouth with Tony? No, I mean, he's 36 years old. I think people forget. I wouldn't say he's past his prime, but um, I definitely think after the ACL injury and like him coming back and beating Pettis, maybe he hit his peak. So it's just tough, but it was tough to see him go out like that. But he's still such a savage, man. And for him to endure that armbar and not tap was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in this friggin' sport. So congrats to Charles Oliveira. You're a fucking beast. Tony, still love you. You're a monster. El Kukui. Let's just get to the main event because I think we're talking fight of the year here. We had a lot of great fights this year. We had Joanna Whaley. We had Poirier, Hooker. We had just so many great fights. I know I'm missing a couple others, but
yeah, Burgos Emmett.
Burgos Emmett, yes, that's the one I missed. Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno for the flyweight title on Saturday, December 12th. I believe locked in as the fight of the year. What a goddamn fight. For whoever said the flyweights are dead, my God, you need to watch this fight. This fight got me so fired up about being a UFC fan. It took me to the next level. These two went at it for 5 rounds, didn't stop, rocked each other. Um, Brandon Moreno, something happened with his shoulder. He had a friggin' welt on his arm the size of a baseball. Figueredo apparently was in the hospital the night before, throwing up till 3 a.m., and he's out there fighting. This was the definition of a fight, and flyweights are back, baby. Majority draw. Figueredo retains the belt, and still, this kid has just looked so dominant. I thought the first couple rounds, he was like, he's going to put Moreno away. He's hitting him with fucking monster shots. And Moreno, with that Nate Diaz fucking granite chin he has, was eating everything. And I was so goddamn impressed by Moreno and the way he kept moving forward after Figueredo would just walk him down. Um, this fight had everything. It had fucking everything you asked for in here. So I'll let you talk a little bit about it because I'm getting so amped up. What did you think of this fight? Is this fight of the year?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely in the running. I think fight of the year would either go between these two or Whaley and Joanna.
Unreal.
Um, yeah, the crazy thing about this fight is when I was watching it live, I was confused on how to judge each and every single round. I mean, there was so much back and forth. When it seemed like one person was getting the lead, the other person would come back. It was just such an even fight, so much activity, so much action all the way throughout. Um, yeah, this I can't wait to see the second fight.
Yeah, obviously brings me to my next point. Obviously, there's going to be a rematch. This fight was so goddamn good. I could see these two fight 10 times. Did you agree? So let's just say, so I scored it. If there was no nut shot, which, oh my God, one of the most brutal nut shots I've ever seen and I've ever heard. Did you have Figueiredo winning that fight?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did the same. I thought that he pushed the pace more, and I thought overall more active. And if that nut shot didn't happen, I think that's a clear win. Not a clear win, but that's a win for Figueiredo, 100%.
Mhm.
But Moreno, man, my God, what? And I brought this up on the last show. Moreno doesn't get put away, and I think we know why. The chin on this guy, he was eating shots. It was like the Nate Diaz Jorge Masvidal fight, like where Nate was just just eating shots. And Moreno proved a lot of people wrong. This guy was cut from the UFC, came back, goes on a 4-fight winning streak, and takes on the champ who looked like this unstoppable force. And yeah, for the first 2 rounds, Figueiredo looked like he was going to put Moreno away. And then the tides just turned, man. And Moreno just eating everything the champ had. And these two guys are so impressive. And I think it got the whole UFC world just fired up and talking about this. And, for Figueiredo to be sick the night before and come and still fight and give it 100% like he did and still look good. And we kind of saw him go into that 5th round and win the 5th round, which was super impressive. I know Moreno was hurt. His shoulder must have been fucked up, whatever, but he looked good, man. And obviously the rematch is next. I'm not going to ask you what's next. How mad do you think Cody Garbrandt is? He now has to sit out and wait for his shot now, but the rematch is next, no question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would. I mean, unless one of them were like seriously injured and then tie up the division for a long time, um, it has to be run back this fight. There's no other. There's no other case you can make.
No, not a chance. How does the rematch go? Real quick. What do you see? I mean, do you see another barn burner? Typically, we don't see rematches as good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you see the second fight topping that at all?
I mean, they're definitely going to come back with different game plans. Um, who knows how much, you know, Figueredo being sick the night before affected him. It didn't look like it hindered his performance, but only he knows, how much better he probably could have done had he not been sick. So I think that's one thing that plays into it. Um, Moreno hurting his arm, during the fight. That's something else that plays another role. If he had a healthy, I think his right arm, his right shoulder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but if they stand and trade the way that they did, I don't see either of them getting knocked out. I just see them fighting to the last bell, and it probably, you know, be on par with, the fight before.
Yeah. Flyweights, man, they're goddamn back. Listen, Henry Cejudo did a lot for this division. Uh, but what a terrible time for him to be out of this conversation, man. The flyweights are the best they've ever been. There's so much talent in this division, and we have a rematch for the ages coming up. I can't wait. UFC 256, you guys did not disappoint. Best card of the goddamn year. Dana White, thank you for making this pay-per-view the last one of the year, this awesome year. Can't wait to do the end of the year awards, even though I think this card won fucking 3 of them. But UFC 256 in the books. Dana White, thank you so much. Real quick, prediction time. This weekend's card, UFC 217. UFC Vegas 17. Great card. Let's just go through some of the picks that we want to go through. Our boy Rob Font, Boston boy, New England Cartel, taking on the absolute monster that is Marlon Moraes. Real quick, who do we got?
I got to go with Rob Font. I mean, this is a super tough fight for him. It's fighting the number 3 in the division. It's a huge opportunity for him, but not going to bet against him. So I'm going with Font for this one.
Font's taking this shit, and he is going to be a top 5 bantamweight in the world. I can't wait. I think he's going to edge him out. I think he's going to beat him by decision. I think we're going to see Font's been out for a while. I think he's ready. Injuries are healed up. I'm so excited to see this man back in the octagon. New England Cartel represent, baby. Let's go. Co-main event, bantamweight, Jose Aldo, who's been on a losing streak, taking on Marlon Vera, who just knocked out Sugar Sean, was the biggest thing in fucking UFC for that month, right? Who takes this? This is interesting because it's like, what Jose Aldo is going to show up. This is the bantamweight Jose Aldo who just fought for the title, lost, but he gave Peter Yan a pretty good fight. I mean, who wins this one?
Yeah, this is a tough one to call because, it's not that Aldo's been inconsistent, but he has, been losing fights ever since, his McGregor loss, his 2 losses to Holloway.
Yep.
Came back, he beat Stevens. He's kind of had like this up and down battle ever since those 3 big losses. But Vera's the type of guy that he doesn't get put away. He's going to bring the fight the entire time. He's durable, and he's a skilled fighter as well. I think at this point in time, I'm going to go with Vera.
Yeah, I couldn't have said any better. Nothing to really add there. Cheeto's a goddamn monster. He doesn't get finished. Jose Aldo's a finisher, man. He's not a decision. He's not a point fighter. He's going to put you away. And I don't think at this stage in his career, he's going to put away a young, durable guy like Cheeto. And I think Cheeto's got something to prove. A lot of people were like, oh, the O'Malley fight was a fluke. I think he's going to come out here, man, and I think he's going to put on a goddamn show. And that's going to catapult him within the rankings. I am so excited for this one. Potential fight of the night there. And then let's go to the welterweight main event and end off this show. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on the surging Jeff Neal. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, coming off of his loss of Anthony Pettis, comes back UFC in November last year, dismantles Vicente Luque, who was on a massive winning streak. Proving everyone wrong why he, is going to fight for the title again eventually, right? Taking on Jeff Neal, a guy who is on a 5-fight win streak, undefeated in the UFC, obliterated Nico Price, obliterated Mike Perry. I mean, this is a fucking awesome fight. We really get to see, Jeff Neal test himself against a former title challenger, 2-time title challenger. I don't even know how to call this one, man. This is tough. This is 2 different body types, 2 different styles. This is gonna be crazy. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, you got Wonderboy, who's super crafty, very skilled striker, and then you got Jeff Neal, who's just, kind of get this reputation as a knockout artist. I mean, he hits so hard. He's gonna have 25 minutes to get that opportunity to get something to land, and I think, I think he just hits different. I'm hesitant to do it, but I'm going to go with Jeff Neal. Neal on this one.
I knew you were going to say Jeff Neal too. It's so hard to pick against Wonderboy, and I understand that Pettis knockout was a little bit of a fluke, but I agree with you. Neal hits harder than Anthony Pettis. And if he lands a fucking bomb on Wonderboy, he's going down. We saw what Tyron Woodley did to him when he hit him with like a clean shot. I mean, what Jeff Neal has been able to do in his last 2 fights at ease, like what he did to Mike Perry was just disgusting. You know what I mean? You don't put away Mike Perry like that. Like, my
Yeah.
God, that was devastating. What he did to Nico Price. You don't put away Nico Price like that. Like,
Yeah.
and I agree. I think this is new blood. I think Jeff Neal is a fucking monster. And I think we are going to see him fight for the title very soon. He's a beast. I'm going to go Jeff Neal. Unfortunately, sorry, Wonder Boy. I think he's gonna knock him out. So this card, last card of the year, and then we don't have UFC for 4 weeks. So unfortunate. UFC Vegas 17. We're gonna do kind of awards, end of year awards next week. So stay tuned. Dana White, thank you again. Amazing year. It's been crazy. Thanks for supporting the boys. Click that like button. Click the subscribe button. Go to our Instagram. I think we just hit 3,000 followers on Instagram. So thank you guys for everything. You're the best. Go buy some merch. Click the link below for everything Flatlined. And until next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.